Hi, so I just got done filming for Madison's first video for her YouTube channel, and brother's still sleeping, and she's just kind of happy as a clam right here playing, so I thought I would quickly film the second video for her channel. In this video I wanted to talk about how we found out that Maddison has cystic fibrosis. A lot of people ask us what her symptoms were and what kind of tipped us off to her having it. The answer to that is we had no idea she had it. In our state, they do what's called a PKU card, which is a little hill prick, and they collect some blood, and then they run a bunch of genetic tests based on this PKU card. And one of those tests is for cystic fibrosis. So we got a call from her pediatrician's office asking us if we could come back in and that they needed to redo her PKU card. So we went in, and once we were there, they told us that they actually didn't need to redo her PKU card, that it had come back positive for cystic fibrosis, and that they wanted to send us to a children's hospital to have a sweat chloride test done, which would confirm the diagnosis for cystic fibrosis. They had a nurse on the phone. It was about 5 o'clock in the afternoon when all of this happened, and they had a nurse on the phone for the children's hospital, and she asked if we could be there in the morning to have this sweat chloride test done. We said that would be fine. We went home, loaded up the kids, and kind of drove a lot of the night to get there. We lived 5 hours away from this hospital. So in the morning, we went ahead and did her sweat chloride test. During her test, well, let me kind of explain what it is. So they take some kind of agent and they rubbed it on her forearms, and it dilutes the pores in her arms and her sweat glands. So then they put some sterile gauze pads and kind of wrapped her up and put some heat packs on her arms, and we just kind of had to sit there and let her sweat. And then they would test the gauze pads to see how much salt was in her sweat, and that's kind of a key indicator because people living with cystic fibrosis have a lot of salt in their sweat and on their skin. So while we were waiting for her to kind of sweat, we talked to a genetic counselor who kind of went over what cystic fibrosis is and how she could have gotten cystic fibrosis and just kind of the genetic side of everything. Now, up until this point, we were under the impression that it's a possibility that she could have cystic fibrosis, but it's not a definite answer or a definite diagnosis. They just want to test and see if she has it. Once we arrived to the hospital, they said that they were, 95% sure that she did in fact have cystic fibrosis, which we were kind of shocked to hear that because from her doctor's office, it just didn't sound like that to us, I guess. We weren't under that impression that they were so sure. So anyways, we talked to the genetic counselor, and about right before 5 o'clock that afternoon, they called us with a positive test result for cystic fibrosis and a confirmation of that diagnosis. So that was really hard to hear. We were completely devastated. A lot of fear and worry and anxiety, and yeah, it was just really stressful situation. They told us that we were set up to see meet her cystic fibrosis team the following morning. So all of this happened within 24 hours, from talking to the doctor the night before, going home, packing up, having this sweat chloride test, and then getting a for sure answer, talking to the genetic counselors, and setting up an appointment to meet her cystic fibrosis team was all within 24 hours. So our heads were kind of spinning. We were in shock. We were stressed out. We were, devastated. It was a really emotional time for us. The following morning, we did meet with her cystic fibrosis team. It was a really long appointment. We met with the doctors, the nurses, the medical assistants came in, did weights and measurements and all that types of, all the type of things. We met with dietitians, the social workers. There's a lot of people, and it ended up being about a 5-hour appointment. It was a really long day. And I will go into more of her appointments and kind of what goes on at her appointments, I think in the next video. I think that's what I want to do for the next one. So, but yeah, that's basically just what I wanted to talk about today, or in this video, was how we found out. So, yeah, we didn't have any idea. She didn't have a cough. She didn't have any kind of symptoms. She was, perfect, healthy little baby as far as we knew, and everything was just fine. And then in a blink of an eye, everything kind of changed, and she had this diagnosis. And yeah, it was a lot to take in. I still don't remember hardly any of that information that we were told with the genetic counselors and things like that throughout the day. It's all kind of a blur to me. It was all really fast. So, yeah, that's kind of how we found out. And like I said, in the next video, I'll probably talk about her clinic appointments and what goes on with her clinic appointments and kind of how the first one went. Yeah, how the first one went for us. So, thanks for watching.